Jai Shriman Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagat Guru Sudarshan Acharyaji Yamraj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to the Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to the 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here, physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally, and internationally. And I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube and the various groups from around the world. We continue on our topic once again, ABC to spirituality, which culminates in the Guru principle. But before we go there, a few weeks ago, I did a discourse on Ajamil. How many of you remember? Only 3, 4. Okay, Venitha then. What was the point in a nutshell?
The time of death you call out the Lord's name.
And who attended? Who attended to retrieving Ajamil's soul?
Narayan. Vishnu, Lord Narayan.
And
Yamraj was also there.
Sitha, I think only you will be fortunate to have Lord Narayan to come and pick up your souls.
Thank you.
But since creation, he sends his aides, the Vishnu dutas, to pick his devotee souls, and Yamraj to pick up the others. Okay. So yesterday, I was asleep in my kuti, and both the Yama dutas and the Vishnu dutas were having a big fight in retrieving my soul. So Satish Bhai, he sent Mataji to come and get me up and tell me that the shade cloth is short. So whilst this fight was happening, they heard Mataji's voice. And both the Yama dutas and the Vishnu dutas scuttled for the land. Okay? Whose voice they heard? So all of those that have voice with big mouth, they will survive yet another. They will survive yet another day. Alright, that is why you all are saying, Guru made it through. Definitely you all will make it. They ran for their lives, both. Alright? As soon as Mataji came and intervened. So my men in the satsanga say, that's one time that is why you can value the big mouth of your wife. So they don't only stay you, they stay everywhere. Okay? So I've been sick for a while now, for many years. I think from the second year that I started satsang. In the space of 2 years, I get very, very ill. first got ill, we were having 4 satsangs a week. I haven't cancelled a single satsang, no matter how ill I have been. Why? No. I attend every satsang so that I can get an opportunity to be with my Guru. Notwithstanding what condition. I used to be carried into these satsangs. I used to come and sit on a stage like this, with a hall full of people. I used to remove myself and go to the restroom and come back maybe 2 or 3 times during that satsang. But my illness did not prevent me from meeting my Guru at these satsangs. Because although the Guru is in my consciousness, I experience him best and I experience him most when I attend his satsang. And they say that a bona fide Acharya is an individual that when he instructs you in any manner or any instructions that is given to you, he has experienced it 1 or millions of times. A bona fide Acharya will never ask you to do anything or follow any instruction that he has not followed. And today I'm sitting here after a huge illness from Thursday night. Because although I live here, it's another opportunity for me to be with my Guru. We don't just say these words with hollowness. We don't use words to make sentences. We use words in its context and we live the words we use. We live the words we use. When you are gone, we continue practicing the words we use. And when you are here, we continue practicing the words we use. Our story does not change. From the time the institution has started, up until the time we breathe our last, the story has to remain the same, because the story is eternal. And only the truth exists eternally. Only the truth exists eternally. You can lie, you can fabricate, you can make up a story with the best of evidences, with the best of defense. One day, one thread in your story will unravel, and that lie although maintained for tens of years, 20 years, 30 years, that lie cannot exist. That lie cannot exist. So when you lie, there is only one person you lie to. Who you lie to, Jana? Yourself. But the truth was found 5,000 years ago in the compilation of the Vedas. Material science is stating that its creation is 4.5 billion years old. Aren't they? We are stating this creation is 355 trillion years old. One is an estimate and one is absolute truth. So Dana told somebody I was on fire. When was it, Dana? On Thursday. Whilst I was sick, but I was also on fire. Right? And we had a spiritual discussion for how many hours, Dana?
Almost 3 hours.
3 hours. And I had to project the truth to someone that believed in a particular philosophy out of context. Out of context. And that is the problem in Sanatana Dharma. Have you seen a mirror ball? You haven't seen one? Mirror ball? The whole life. Satish, why do you send the boy to a disco? That is right. Why did you send the boy to a disco, keeping him at home? See the mirror ball now? So the mirror ball, each glass of the mirror ball has a context of its own. Does it not? And that is why you get so many reflections. One mirror ball, how many reflections? Many. As many pieces there are on the mirror ball, that's the amount of reflection you're going to get off that one ball. So this is how Sanatana Dharma is. It's like a mirror ball because it is the library of information. Because it is the library of information, that part which reflects to you, you believe to be the absolute. But the mirror ball only becomes absolute when all the parts are synthesized. If you take one part of the mirror ball, will it be a mirror ball?
No.
It will just be a mirror. Only when you take all the parts of the mirror ball and glue the mirror on the ball, then you can call it a mirror ball. Otherwise, it's a ball with pieces of mirror. You understand? So the mistake we make in Sanatana Dharma is whichever side is reflecting to us, we believe that's angle. We believe that angle to be the all in all of the mirror ball. because that part is in context with our eye. We see in that part which is reflected of the mirror ball through our eye. Don't we? So when we look at the mirror ball, we look at the mirror ball in the context of that part of the mirror ball that's shining in our direction. And since Sanatana Dharma is the library of information, you cannot look. If I take this one book from the library, then we cannot identify the library with this book. It is just one of the books in the library. To authenticate the library, we have to identify every book that is listed in the library. And the word library takes its meaning from all the books and information that is contained therein. All that is contained therein. I cannot say I'm reading the library to you. Can I? Because this is just one aspect of the library of books. All of you understand? And this is the mistake that gurus take the birth since time immemorial to eradicate and enlighten. Eradicate and enlighten. Now can you walk into the library, pick a particular book that you like, Nirali, can you go into the library and pick a beautiful romantic story on Mills and Boone and say, this is the most important book in the library, I will follow this book. Nirali, answer the Guru. Mills and Boone, you cannot go and pick up file up in the river. You coming from that era, Satisfied. When you didn't have Hardy Boys, were you reading Nancy Drew, Satisfied? Are you understanding? One book that you like does not authenticate the library. The library will have a list, an inventory of the books. The library will have an inventory of the books, and after you have qualified yourself, firstly with the inventory and then reading all the books in the library, then you can say, I know the content of the library. Understanding satisfied? You cannot take one book and 50 people take 50 different books and each of you all say this is the library. Vishnu, how many years ago the Guru said you must read a book? And how many books have you read from the first time you met me? Completely. You can see how long she's taking to say nothing. You see how long she's taking to say, I haven't read one full book from cover to cover yet. You listening? To the Guru line. Alright? All of you understand? Are you understanding? So in Sanatana Dharma, you need a librarian. You need a librarian. Because the librarian has a list of the books and he has background knowledge on the books in the library. So I want to give you a very personal example, okay? Because I said the Acharya has gone through everything in life and then he's teaching from his own teachings and his own experiences, combined with the knowledge of the Supreme Lord, okay? So many years ago, I was in a deep state of depression and my life was in just one big black hole from which I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to get up because for me everything came very fast, and when I say everything I mean everything. As a young boy, 21, 22, 23, I had everything. I had everything. And I was also known in society at this age. You understand? So everybody knew me. They knew my name. 24, 25, I was known throughout KZN. And then the battery went low. And life started becoming a blur. Such a big blur that I could not distinguish between day and night, let alone weeks and months. And I was in a deep and excruciating pain in every cell of my body. And when I heard MTN advertising per second billing, I identified myself with that per second thing. With per second thing. And this went on for years, Rakeshwar. It went on for years. So I visited a friend of mine, he's now gone to New Zealand, Dr. Visesa. And he examined my nails and he asked me, are you hearing things? Now because only person that's enjoying this is Sitha. Sitha is at her peak. When I said, are you hearing? Right? Sitha is at her peak. So because of my condition and to satisfy his answer when he said, are you hearing things? I said, yes. So he said, okay. And he wrote a big letter, he sealed it in an envelope, and he told me, listen, one of these psychiatrists trained with me when I was in medical school. I had written a letter to her. Just take this letter and go straight to King George and hand it over. So I trusted in him. I took the letter. I went straight to King George and I handed the letter. And I was detained in hospital. I was detained in hospital. First one psychiatrist saw me, and then a panel of psychiatrists. And they diagnosed me with an illness called schizophrenia. They diagnosed me with an illness called schizophrenia. And they put me on medication. So one tablet I should get up after 3 days. One tablet I should get up after 3 days. Well, Venitha is not happy that I don't attend when I'm ill to medical treatment. Okay? Venitha is not happy. And I've been known from escaping hospitals all my life. I've never stayed a full stay in hospital. I've never stayed a full stay in hospital. So I was put on a 14-day observation. I was put in a 14-day observation. So I should think all the time. Speed thinking. Some of you are here are involved in speed thinking. Alright? So I used to be involved in speed thinking, and when this panel of psychiatrists they interviewed me, it was on the dawn of democracy. It was in the dawn of democracy. So when they spoke of the voices that you hear, I expressed myself in terms of this country. And I said that I have a desire in my core of my being that there should be a country in the world that is multi-faith, multicultural, multi-religious. And I said there should be a parliament in this world that every minister should be qualified in his ministry. So if you had a minister of police, then he must come from the ranks of a policeman. And if you had a minister of justice, then he must come to the ranks of the judiciary. And if you had a minister of welfare, then that minister of social welfare should come from the ranks of being in social welfare. So they thought they couldn't figure out my sanity with insanity, because they prescribed me as being schizophrenic. So when you suffer from schizophrenic, that is right, then you have a love-hate relationship with God. That is right. That is schizophrenia. I love you, I hate you. One person, two emotions, that is right. I love you, tomorrow, I hate you. Are there any schizophrenic wives here in this session? Jamila, are there any schizophrenic wives in this satsang who love their husband today and hates their husband again today, 3 hours later? George, why? George? King George has a panel of psychiatrists for you, right? Okay. So, I made a plan in the hospital and I cut short my stay and I expressed myself in such a way that the panel had to release me, and I said I will come back tomorrow. I have an emergency today. Give me leave. I will go back and sort that emergency and come back. With the intention of never coming. Ronnie, you live just down the road from me, Ronnie. Whilst I was in anguish, you were busy doing your books there. Okay. So, Venitha, I did not stay fully. I left in a few days and I went to the library. I went to the library. And if you take my ID card and you punch it in the library, and if they still are retaining the records, then I would have read over 1 million books. Alright? Not small books. Any book that I took must have 1,000 pages plus. And I used to read 4 a week. 4 a week. So I knew the librarian. He knew. So I asked the librarian for a book on schizophrenia. I asked the librarian for a book on schizophrenia, and he asked me, who told you? Why you want this book? I said, well, I've been told by a panel of psychiatrists that I'm schizophrenic. And this librarian was there in the library for over 20 years. So he knew me when I was doing my assignments as a scholar and then reading as an adult. So he said, no, go back home, take all your medication and throw it away. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. The books that you have read, no one suffering from schizophrenia can read. And you see the importance of a librarian. Look, today I'm seated in front of you. I don't know how many of you is going to believe my discourses after this. That is why. That is why you think I'm releasing these discourses into the atmosphere from the mental plane that has. Well, what is schizophrenia? How do you get that? What causes you? What is the cause of schizophrenia? Well, you have 2 parts of the brain, and there is electricity running from one part to the other part. And when there is a interruption in that electricity, then you become schizophrenic. For those of you, Roj Bhai, let's start with you. You know the problem. You know the problem. It's electricity from one part of the brain to the other. Okay? So, I gave you this example because if you are swaying in the darkness of distress. And you cannot anchor your mind to survive that day. And if you do not connect to knowledge, you'll never be able to salvage yourself. You'll never be able to salvage yourself. Because if the Guru did not go to the librarian to research what schizophrenia is, today the Guru's brains would have been fried through false medication. And this was done by a panel of psychiatrists. Are you understanding? Mental health, very dangerous. And I'm a living example of that. Because very few people have capacity to treat you mentally. To treat you mentally. They're always diagnosing. Take 5 milligrams, that is why 5 milligrams don't work, then take 10 milligrams. And if 10 don't work, take, yeah, you understand? So, this science is still, it can subdue you. It can arrest you. It can arrest your suffering. You understand? But to come out of your suffering, you need another dimension. You need another dimension. That dimension has been created by the Supreme Lord at creation. That dimension has been created by the Supreme Lord at creation. If you go deep into psychiatric understanding and psychological understanding, and if you trace backwards, then you'll find that all of those inferences that are drawn already exist in the Vedas. You understand? So that 3-hour discussion when Dana said I was on fire was with a very high profile PhD personality. Okay. And I promised that personality you can ask me any question. A guru must not leave his seat. Run in a room somewhere in the back, Nirali. Hit the internet, find the answer and come back and answer. The guru must answer spontaneously. So here's a person with a PhD, and we answered spontaneously. And I found that what he has attached his faith in is through perception. Is through perception. And this is the problem that gurus are having. This is the problem that gurus are having. And I want to break this down. Is the clock working?
Yes.
Okay, I still have some time. I want to break this down again like I broke it down to him. I said when you go to university, then you want to study a particular course. In that course, you might get 45 modules. From that 45 modules, you might only like 25. You might not like the other 20 modules. But if you do not complete all your modules, you cannot pass that course. When you go to, and I'm talking to all these wives, if you have to go to university today and they give you 45 modules, Jessica, will you just take those modules or will you question those modules? That is the why you're looking at me. Jessica, Guru is talking to you. Because the institution is already established long before you was born, known or thought of, Jessica. That faculty was already established. Isn't? That syllabus was already established. So when you go there, you go to university, you pay your fees, and you surrender to the various professors, don't you? Do you surrender to the professors or not? What surrender means? Well, when I was a policeman, Ronnie, and I was working in the Morningside area, a haven for housebreaking. And on our night shifts, if we got a housebreaking in progress, it means that the housebreaking was taking place at that point in time. So we will attend and try to apprehend. Alright? And when we confronted the criminal, we would say, hands up. So the minute he put his hands up, his entire being was in my custody. Was it not? Because he lost all his freedom. His entire being was in my custody. Maybe that's where I learned to become a guru. Now I'm not using a gun. You understand? Similarly, when you go to university, you surrender to your various professors. Why, Ronnie? Because you want to pass that course. You want to pass that module. And you want your life to be successful so that you can take your degree, Ronnie, and show it to your friends and family. And put it in a living room in such a place that as soon as somebody enters your front door, they can see you in your gowns. No mistake. Such a position that they can see in your gown. No. You work hard for your degree so that you can sustain and maintain yourself and your forthcoming family. You want to give them the good life. And to give them the good life, you surrender to the institution called the university, and you surrender to various professors that are going to teach you. And whilst I myself was in university, I haven't seen a single student stating that my grandparents taught me under the tree this way, or my mom taught me alphabets this way. I'll take what I like from you, but I'll continue what my parents taught me in these other modules. Have you ever seen anyone in university doing that? But in Sanatana Dharma, you want to follow the Guru 10%, you want to follow your Nani and Nana 50%, and you want to follow some friends 10%, and the rest of the percentage I don't know. I don't know. And then you can't even make it to write your exams. What you want, when you fail in life, then the first person you blame is your Guru. I did 100 satsangs. I did 100 satsangs. My life has not changed from the first day I walked in up to today. You can also spend 100 years in university. You can sit and listen to your professor. If you don't do your assignments and you don't sit regularly for your exams, you'll be a fail. And when I was at Durban Westville, how many of you went to Durban Westville? Sitha?
Yes, I went.
You remember the cafeteria there?
Yes.
Many people went to the university cafeteria. Right? And if you, first year you'll see them there, and when you come in out of degrees you'll still see them there. And I saw some people with long beards like this, long hair, that is why. And they became very famous brothers in the African National Congress, if you all know who I'm talking about. But they spent many years in university, and they'll tell you too, I spent about 10 years in university, but with no PhD, you just was in uni. Yes, you understand? So if you can discipline yourself in school, I will do my teacher's homework. I don't, Vishnu, you ever had a fight with your teacher when it said 1 + 1 is equal to 2? You ever said, my mother said 1.5 plus half is equal to 2? Whatever teacher said, you did. In school, university, or any institution, those that are totally dedicated to the cause, you'll notice are always successful in life. And those that sit in the cafeteria, I have a cafeteria here too. After satsang, we'll open the cafeteria in the back. And then Mataji will come and open a beauty check. At the end of the month, she say, Dad, just choose a number, please. And somebody will win in the lucky. No, you understand? So I'm giving this discourse under the Guru Principle heading. Because if you do not surrender to the teachings of the Guru, you're going to fail. You are going to fail. You wasted your petrol, you wasted your time, you wasted everything. If you come to the satsang, then you have to make an indelible change in your character and your behavior. If you are a screaming wife, it will be hard to tone your volume the first satsang. Priscilla, when I said screaming wife, you smiled. Alright? Well, Guru always talked in opposites. When he's attacking the husband, he'll attack the wife. Guru's talking riddles. When he's attacking the wife, he's attacking the husband. And as soon as you get used to the formula, Guru changes again. So you won't catch the Guru. Alright? But in your case, Priscilla, the volume have to go lower after every satsang. So if the volume was by 50, then it must go 49 and a half. Because for so many years it was by 50, it's difficult, it's stuck in that grind in that volume. It's stuck there. You have to put Q20, you have to ease. Don't come next week, Priscilla, to the Guru and say the volume is stuck. It's stuck there from I don't know how many years. Alright? So, Guru is giving half a turn on the volume. 49 and half. Then you come to satsang again. Might still be 49 and half. You have to put a stronger Q20. Alright? Then you come again, it might still be there, but it's a process. One day the volume will be at 2.5. Soothing and loving to your ear, Priscilla. Romantic. You will love that voice at that volume. Alright? And that is what the Guru does best. That is what the Guru does best. This is why you come to satsang. For a behavioral change. Not in satsang, Priscilla. Satsang is the mechanics workshop. We do the operation there. When you are outside. All what you learn here must be practiced outside. Do you practice, do you become a lawyer whilst you studying law in university? But you study law in university to practice outside. You study law in the university to practice, Ronnie, outside. Similarly, saints and sages are in my satsang. Alright? I want the saints and sages to be practicing on the outside. On the outside. Are there any questions? I have to keep breaking this discourses in its most simplified component. Okay? I'm not a guru from India. I'm not speaking in Sanskrit. I'm speaking the language that you are understanding. My culture is South African. I'm born in South Africa. And the reason God made me take my birth in South Africa so that there can be synthesis in my discourse and synthesis in you assimilating the discourse. Because we are the same brand. We are of the same brand. I'm South African, you South African. I'm not coming from India, from some remote village, playing the harmonium, talking in a language that you don't understand, that you can throw your 500-600 rands, and that person goes back to the remote village, nobody knows him. You understand? I'm giving you absolute knowledge. I'm giving you absolute knowledge from an absolute system. Whatever I am stating, you can verify, because today knowledge is at your fingertips. Knowledge is at your fingertips. So this is the Guru principle if you want to become spiritual. You join a Guru if you want to become spiritual. If you want to remain religious, then just go to the temple. Just go to the temple. Continue with your rituals. Continue with your pandits. Continue with your priests. If you want to be religious. If you want to be spiritual, then you come to a Guru. Because spirituality is a dimension that you cannot see or perceive. Religion is a dimension that you live in. Religion is a dimension that you live in. Religion is a set of rules governing your behavior and a set of rituals that entices you to show you that there's a power higher than you. A set of ritual to entice you to show you that there is a power higher than you. You understand? That is temple and religious worship. Spiritual worship is absolute science. Spiritual worship is absolute science. Like scientists, they first discovered the atom and they said this is the all in all. Then they went further into molecules, and now at the moment they are in the particle theory. Isn't scientists? Well, in the Vedas, all scientific theories are already there, including the particle theory. Everything is there in the Vedas, from 5,000 years ago, compiled in writing. So I was explaining to that person that came with Dana, I said there's two processes of attaining knowledge. The ascending process and the descending process. The ascending process is being used by material scientists where new discoveries continue to take place through experimentation. Alright? And then there's spiritual science on the other side where God has done all the experiments. God has done all the experiments, and you can find this absolute if you come to satsang on Monday. From Monday in the Ramayana, you will find that Lord Ram has descended on earth and completed all the experiments. And completed the experiments and lived a life that is within the parameters of all Vedic teaching. So it is up to you if you want to reinvent the wheel or just use the wheel. It's already invented. So if you want to try the ascending process, it will take you millions of years to know what the Guru can teach you in a few hundred discourses. Because the Guru experiments the information that is given already. The Guru lives and realizes the Vedas, and then through his realization discourses you on the Vedas. So it is exactly like material science, but in material science you're still searching for the unknown, In spiritual science, there is no unknown, because we know the source of science. We know the absolute source of science. In material science, the source is unknown. At best, they can give you dana, is there were some chemicals that mixed and gave you this universe. Alright? So when that was posed to me, I said I have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter, and if I show her how cars are manufactured and assembled at a motor assembly park, she will only see robots. One robot pressing the chassis, another robot, and she'll see robots and conveyor belts. She won't see humans. So if you ask a Shweta, who makes cars, what will her answer be? Because you can only see robots. So her inference drawn from her actual vision will result in her saying that robots built these. But is that the absolute truth? Because there is an intelligence behind a robot that has built all these things. Is it not? If certain chemicals were used to create this 8.4 million species that exist in the universe today, if it happened by chance then don't you think along the way these chemicals supposed to meet again and start creation again? Don't you think all these chemicals are known, is it not? Why isn't somebody mixing them to create a universe? Jessica, you have created many universes through thought. Imagine what you will do if we give you some chemicals. You understand? All of you understand? So we already have the knowledge from the first atom, how creation took place, step by step. We already have that knowledge. We know how the atoms were combined. We know what is the first element. We know what is the last element. We know all the ingredients that exist in this universe. There is nothing that is not known in the Vedas, and there is no need to investigate or experiment. If you already have a system, was it necessary for you to go and experiment mathematics to become a mathematician or a professor in mathematics? Was it necessary, Ronnie? No, because mathematics was already founded, it's there already. But you can also found it on your own, can't you? Yes. But if you know the hard work that will take in you founding the principles of mathematics, and you know that mathematics exists, the information on what you want to know already exists on one end, is it necessary? Is it logical for you to go and persevere yourself when the answer already exists? Is it necessary? Not necessary. So, creation exists in the Vedas. Vedas mean knowledge. Creation exists in the Bible. Creation exists in the Torah. Creation exists in the Quran. Is there a frog in the house? All of you understand? The frog knows what time is. It is time. I'm 5 minutes. That is, you didn't put something there that sounds like a frog and emote it that I passed my time. Because I can believe anything from that is when I cross my time.
Pre-planned.
Pre-planned. Okay? So are you all understanding? If knowledge is there, then it is logical to embrace that knowledge, and that knowledge we say is there in the descending order. That means the knowledge was there from the supreme essence of knowledge, who is the Lord Almighty Himself. There is not an ounce of knowledge in this universe that is not the essence of the Supreme Lord. Then if the knowledge is there of the source of all sciences, then is it logical to go through and investigate? These sciences that we are living through every day, I'm using science at the moment to speak to you. Is it not science? Microphone, is it not science? Yes. So science should make your material life comfortable for living. But it is not the all in all. It is not the all in all. You cannot be attached to this comfort that you are living. You understand? You should find comfort in the spirit of science, not in the material of science. Okay, because this mic system is quite primitive. Where's my sound, Kimlan? A few years ago, I used to wear a mic with a battery on my side and speak. Kimlan, now we've gone primitive. You remember, Nirali? Yeah. But material science will keep changing. From a horn, maybe in a previous lifetime, Ronnie, I was speaking in a horn. You understand? This lifetime I got a few sets of mics. Next lifetime I don't know. You understand? Material science keep changing. But my message would have been the same in the horn, the same in this mic, and the same in the next mic they're going to. Because the message of the Lord will always be the same. Jai Shri Narayan.